Yeah, Arrowhead Chiefs. It's your girl, Miss Nicole. Queen of Hustle, baby. Started from the bottom, now we here. My homie at the start of his career. Let's go. Try to win him early, hear the truth. Tune in every Sunday for the juice. Arrowhead Chief podcast, bringing all the news. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Quick style. Out here rapping for the crew. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You are tuned in to the Arrowhead Chief podcast, episode 225. Back to talk about the Chiefs draft, 2025 draft picks. I got my guy, special guest, Chris Cero of 96.5 The Fan and Character Concerns podcast with Jay Bigley. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm getting over a cold, so aside from that, I mean, it's been good. Trying to get a little rest after doing we did over 20 hours of draft coverage the weekend of the draft. So yeah, that kind of caught up with me after that weekend. So yeah, like that, and then get sick right after. It's been a little tough, but I'm starting to get better now, and the NBA playoffs have been going on here, so. Right. I've been deep in that, trying to enjoy that since I got a little time off after the draft.
I'm glad you're feeling better, brother. Man, let's get into this draft, man. The Chiefs, they made some significant picks, man. Some players that, definitely most of them should be able to help in 2025. But the first pick, let's talk about it. Josh Simmons out of Ohio State Buckeyes.
I mean, you don't have to go all that far with him, but yeah.
No, but he's the first pick for the Chiefs. There's also controversy on this pick because of the injury. Me and you talked about it when you came on the show the first time.
Yeah,
patella tendon injury. Teams are speculating where he can go. He could possibly go early. He could possibly go later to the Chiefs, and he's been mocked to the Chiefs in several mock drafts. So when there's smoke, there's fire, and then when you see the guys like Daniel Jeremiah and people like that who are kind of tapped in with the Chiefs, they pretty much know, what the Chiefs kind of are thinking, but they end up picking Josh Simmons. And what were your thoughts when they picked him?
So on draft night, we was up at the Landing in Liberty, and we were everything was kind of looking really good if the Chiefs really wanted to get Luther Burden, wide receiver out of Mizzou. We was kind of sitting there like, man, this is looking nice here. And you don't want to celebrate players falling past where a lot of people thought they was going to go, because that's lost money out their pocket. I'm not going to celebrate players losing money like that, especially you a kid like he is. But the way I was looking at it was if the Chiefs want Josh Simmons, it looked like they're going to get him. If they want Luther Burden, it looked like they're going to get him. Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, that wasn't going to happen, obviously. I mean, Walter Nolan goes 17 to the Cards. And then right after that at 21, the Steelers broke our hearts taking Derek Harmon. So, I think at that point it was Josh Simmons would make sense. When they traded back to 32, I was like, this is Josh Simmons. I knew it immediately. I was because when you look at the way that they kind of moved around, getting that extra 5th round pick, I think was big for them. But also they were pretty confident, whoever we're going to take here, we know he's not going to make it past 32. And I think at that point it made sense it would be Josh Simmons. And my whole thing was this. Are you taking Josh Simmons because you want to just be done with dealing with the left tackle problem? Or are you taking Josh Simmons because you think he's the best tackle in the class, or one of the best tackles in the class? Because I didn't want them to take Josh Simmons just so they could take somebody and we ain't got to deal with this problem anymore. Because it's like taking a quarterback late first round. A lot of teams that take quarterbacks late first round, they do so because they just want to say they took a quarterback. But it's not conviction behind it. And it's I don't want the Chiefs to settle for a player. I want them to be like, we really like this player. He was one of our guys on our board, and we feel like we're very lucky to be able to get him in this spot. Because like you want to feel confident in your picks, and there's a lot of teams out there that a lot of times kind of feel like they have to take players instead of taking players because they believe in them. And so I had initially when they made that pick, I wasn't a fan of it because I felt like it was one of them picks where you were kind of settling for what was there instead of taking what you want and taking what was best available. But then when you hear the Chiefs in their their post draft press conference after night one, and as soon as I get home from the landing, I popped on YouTube. They had just finished the press conferences. It was Andy Reid, it was Brett Veach, and I hopped them. I put them on, and like you could hear the conviction in their voices when you start talking. They start talking about Josh Simmons. They had him come out. They looked at the knee. Rick Burkholder, their head trainer, he looked at the knee, and you could tell like they were confident in what they saw. They believed that they got the best tackle in the draft class. And what we were hearing coming out of the draft was like everybody's really worried about that knee, and that's why he fell. Because like a patellar tendon injury, like the knee, that tendon there, that's not a very common football injury.
No.
Usually you see like ACLs and stuff like that. You don't see that tendon get injured that often. So there was real talk that he might not play no more. And you know how it is with like health concerns with players. Trey Smith, prime example. He had blood clot issues when he was a sophomore at Tennessee. He drops all the way to round 6. Chiefs get a steal. That was a 5-star talent when he was getting recruited out of high school.
Right.
He's a highly recruited player, but because he's got health issues, he drops, even though he was great at Tennessee. It's a similar issue with Josh Simmons. A lot of people believed he was the best tackle in the class, and for him to fall to 32, it's like, okay, at this point, the Chiefs feel like you're getting the best value for the position, and you're getting someone that you think can be the best player at his position coming out of this draft class and be someone that solves your left tackle problem. And once I heard that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of doubt,
Right.
even though I still have some doubt. Like I'm not 100% on it, but I'm gonna give you guys the benefit of the doubt because you guys know more about this kid than I do. You guys have done your research more than I have. You guys saw him with this knee. And so you guys can attest to his health and you can attest to his personality way better than I ever could. So I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of doubt here.
Yeah, when I heard, I was fine with it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't mad. I wasn't, some people were up in arms about it. I saw.
Oh yeah, my co-host Bink was pissed.
Yeah,
He was heated.
I heard Bink.
Yeah, he was not happy.
He was not happy.
His face dropped when that pick came across. It was bad.
Shout out to my boy Country and a few over there at Kingdom Cast. They did.
Yeah.
They did a watch party too, and yeah, Country and DG and all them, they weren't happy.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure. It wasn't a sexy pick.
I think it wasn't a sexy pick. I think D-Mac was the only one that liked it. But as far as I go, I was cool with it because you know what it was? Because they conditioned us so much for us to get this guy. It wasn't like it was some left field like this guy. Like it was like, okay, we've been told that this was going to happen pretty much, and then they're not going to give it out, but they kind of gave it out. So, and if he was there, and then you saw Walter Nolan go off the board, Derek Harmon go off the board. Yeah, Luther Burden was right there, but I'm just like, they're not taking another wide receiver in the first round. Like, they're just not. They're not. I know the Chiefs. So once I saw them trade back and I was like, yeah, they're going to get Josh Simmons. And when they picked him, I was like, all right, I'm like you. I'm going to give y'all the benefit of the doubt. But if this don't work and he get injured again.
People going to let him have it. I'll tell you this right now. If it don't work, people going to let them have it because you had, and especially if Luther kill it in Chicago, people going to let him have it because I guarantee you, everybody that's sitting there that was wishing for Luther Burden is going to keep a very watchful eye for what he does in Chi-Town. Because if he balls out and Josh Simmons out here getting steamrolled back into Patrick Mahomes, all them people, myself included, gonna be like, you had Luther Burden at 32. You even traded back and he was still there. Like, I don't want to hear nothing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of the doubt. We're gonna see. So far so good. That he was at the little rookie. I know it's no hitting or nothing, but he was out there running around and stuff. So
Yeah, he was doing drills.
Yeah, I was like, all right, we'll see. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? But if this does work, this might be one of the biggest steals in draft history. Like if he becomes a perennial left tackle where he's at least a Pro Bowler, then this might be one of the biggest steals. And you let the best team in the league get that guy.
If he's at least, all I ask is just be Eric Fisher, man.
Yeah.
Just be Eric Fisher. I don't need you to be all pro left tackle. I don't need you to be the next Orlando Pace. I don't need you to go out here and be a 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All Pro. I don't need Patrick Mahomes after he's in the Hall of Fame to give him to introduce him to the Hall of Fame. I don't need any of that. Just don't get my quarterback killed. Just be Eric Fisher. Like Eric Fisher was fine. Like we did criticize him a lot in the early Alex Smith days because we were trying to blame him for Alex Smith being unable to maneuver around the pocket. But for the most part, he was decent, and then he got kind of good at the end. He was like, I remember like after like 2017, I was like, man, Eric Fisher kind of good now.
Yeah.
He kind of good now. So like as long as he's kind of good, I'm cool. That's all I need is Josh Simmons just be kind of good. Just be decent. Just be like at the end of the game, I don't want to have thought about you once until I'm watching the game again. I'm like, man, like Josh is not getting pushed back. Okay, we feeling good. That's what I want.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I don't need him to be a Pro Bowler. I don't need him to be all pro. I don't need him to be Trent Williams. I just need you to be good. Just be good, man. You know what I'm saying? And just keep Patrick Mahomes. Just give him enough time to work his magic. That's all we need. You know what I'm saying?
That's all we need.
If he could trust you, then he's comfortable in that pocket. He could do what he do. Especially as he gets older, he ain't gonna be able to do all that running around like he used, like he does now. Like he's gonna have to sit in the pocket a little bit now. So I need him to be good at least for these next 4 years. If he's better,
let's get like 4 or 5 years of him doing what he's been doing, and then we'll start worrying about the other stuff. But just don't get my quarterback killed.
Right. All right, let's go to the day 2 picks. Now the first pick in the second round, we got defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott. Now there was a little controversy with this pick too, seeing that Omar, he didn't play a lot of snaps. He was in a heavy rotation on the Tennessee defensive line. That was very talented defensive line, but that's just how they do it. They rotate their guys to try to keep them fresh. So he didn't get a lot of snaps, but he had a high pass rush percentage to getting to the quarterback. But I saw some people that liked it. I saw some people who didn't like it. He's either high on a lot of people's board or he was low. So where do you sit on Omar Norman Lott?
So it's funny. The day before I was last on this podcast, I was on another one called The Intangibles from Arrowhead Addict. And we did like a draft of like the 5 players. There's 4 of us. 5 players we each thought would be the most likely to end up on the Chiefs. And I think it was my first guy I took was Omar Norman Lott. I want to say it was our second Chiefs mock, second 7-round Chiefs mock. I had the Chiefs taking Omar Norman Lott at pick 63. This was my guy. I'll tell you this. When Dante Hall was up there reading that name at the podium on that Friday, I jumped off my couch because I was excited about this pick. Right. This is my favorite pick of the draft for the Chiefs. Look, Tennessee does weird stuff with their players. It just is what it is. They are, the way that Heupel and his crew run that team is weird. It's not Omar Norman Lott's fault that he didn't play a ton of snaps. That's his defensive coordinator's fault because the way they did their rotations and whatnot, that's just what they do. But this kid was dominant in the pass rush. He wasn't just good. He was he was dominant in the pass rush. I mean, as you brought up, 18.9% pass rush win rate when he was at Tennessee. I mean, best among interior pass rushers. One of the best among pass rushers in general in all of college football. He's up there with guys like Abdul Carter and whatnot, as far as his pressure rate. This guy was a force in the passing game. If he gets a one-on-one against a guard at three tech, like he's moving that guy, and he's not this massive dude in comparison to the other defensive tackles that were in his class. He's probably about 6'2", 290 or so, a little bit above 290. So you're talking about someone who's like a more of an Aaron Donald type, a smaller defensive tackle that just gets after. He's got great footwork. He is the way that he is able to get after the quarterback. That's just something that I think you have to value in this team. And also, he's very underrated run defender. He had good run. He was a pretty good run defender, but it wasn't a great one because again, rotation, not enough snaps to really kind of show what you do. But for him to be able to go in there and be as dominant as he was as a pass rusher, not playing a full slate of snaps in a season and doing it in the SEC too. It's not like he was in like the Mountain West. He wasn't in the American. He was in the best conference in college football, going against the best offensive linemen in college football. And he was pushing these guys around. He's pushing grown-ass men around, moving them around, getting constant pressure on the quarterback. Like, that's exactly what the Chiefs are looking for in an interior pass rusher. You want someone that's got the traits. You want someone that's got the technique. You want someone that's got the motor. He's got all of that. Like, I understand, like, some people, like, looked at some evaluators and they didn't like him because of this, that, or the other. Look, Omar Norman Lott, he's for real. I'm telling y'all, he is for real. Go watch his film. Go on YouTube, search up Omar Norman Lott versus. This kid, I'm telling you, he's the truth. He gets after it. And this is the guy I'm probably most excited about to watch at camp. I might make a trip up to camp just to see what he can do in them drills. He is going to call if they line him up against Kingsley Suamataia in training camp, Mahomes is gonna get pissed at Suamataia, man, because he gonna be pissed at Suamataia. He gonna be real. He gonna be like, "Hey, get Mike in there, get somebody else in there." He gonna be mad because Omar might put him to work. Like this kid is for real. I'm telling y'all, just be patient, just wait. When we start hearing stuff about what he's doing in mandatory next month. When we start hearing what he's doing early in camp, this kid's got it. I love this pick.
Yeah. My thing about it is, hey man, if he can get to the quarterback, I'm all for it. I am all for it. I feel like that's what the Chiefs, brought him in here for. Put him next to Chris Jones on obvious passing downs and get after the quarterback. We were what? I think we were like 18th in getting to the quarterback last year.
Yeah, they were great at getting pressure. They just didn't get to the quarterback.
Yeah, so I think the Chiefs have sent a message. They're trying to get back to getting to the top 5 at least of getting to the quarterback. So
right.
Because the first time we went against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, we were second behind them.
Yeah. So, and even in that, I mean, obviously in that Super Bowl it was a little different because the field was trash, so nobody could really get to the quarterback in that game. But you saw in that last Super Bowl, I mean, the Chiefs was getting getting pushed back up front on that offensive line because you just had multiple guys who could win one-on-ones. And that's what you're looking for when you start drafting these guys. You want guys that could win one-on-ones. Omar Norman Lott was winning one-on-ones better than anybody on the interior pass rush at the collegiate level last year. So it makes the most sense why you would go that route. That's how the Chiefs, that's how they line up their line. They push their tackles more towards the outside, so they're both playing 3 tech, so they can get one-on-ones. That's why they put Nick Bolton a lot lined up in that A gap there to simulate a blitz. Hey, let's just get a bunch of one-on-ones and let's get guys that win. And Omar Norman Lott, he wins his one-on-ones, and that's why he was taken at 63.
Yeah, for sure. So the next pick, they picked defensive end Ashton Gelati, defensive end out of Louisville. Now I ain't gonna sit here and act like I knew everything about Ashton Gelati. It was a pick that I ain't know, and when I hear a name I don't know, I instantly go to YouTube or something and go look him up and see what's this dude about.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people did. Yeah.
So when I heard the name, I was like, "Who?" I was like, "Hold on, let me look at this dude."
let me look this dude up real quick. Yeah.
But from what I see, he is George Karlaftis 2.0. Like he's got a little bit of Mike Dana too, where he's a real high motor guy who can get to the quarterback, and he's pretty good at run defense too. What was your assessment when they picked him?
Yeah, he's definitely a cross between Dana and Karlaftis. The thing about Gelati that's interesting, first and foremost, he's friends with Karlaftis
Right.
because Karlaftis played for his college coach, Jeff Brom, who actually we interviewed Jeff Brom the Sunday after the draft. We brought him on. He talked to us. He was great. A lot of great information on Gelati. Yeah, so Gelati is friends with Karlaftis because they shared the same coaching staff and everything. Mark Hagan, one of their co-defensive coordinators there at Louisville. He's the one that linked him up. Karlaftis and Gelati have watched a lot of film together. Karlaftis has given Gelati a lot of pointers. And when you watch Gelati play, he plays a lot like George Karlaftis. Power rusher, he literally will just push you straight back. Just literally, like Karlaftis is one of those guys. He looks like he's going against like one of those sleds because he'll get up under your pads and he'll just push you straight back. That's exactly what Gelati does too. Gelati's the one thing about him. This is the reason why I didn't think he was a great fit for the Chiefs before the draft. Was the length. Because the Chiefs generally want guys who have like 33-inch arms. He's about 31 and 3/4. But if you use him on the interior, it doesn't matter. And that's where I think it's going to be interesting. I think early downs, he's going to be an edge because he's a great run defender, like you brought up. You watch his film on, like I said, go on YouTube, search it. He's great against the run. If you try to run on the outside, you're not gonna get past him. Like ain't nobody getting past him in the outside run game. He is a beast. He is a great tackler. He's got really good size to him, about 6'2", 264. So yeah, he's gonna win on the outside. And at the very minimum, you're getting a really good run defender. But that's a guy that's the reason why I use like the Mike Dana comparison. Is that on third down, I'm moving him inside the 3-tech. I'm having him go up against a guard and just literally push the pocket back. And he would be a part of a rotation where you are putting him in as a 3-tech on pass rushing downs every now and then and letting him just push the pocket back. Cause like to me, he's kind of got some like Charles Omenihu versatility like that. Where you're looking to move him inside and you're looking to have him go out there and get some push on the interior so that when your edge rushers are able to converge on the quarterback don't have no room to step up. So I like the pick. It was definitely one where it was like when you turn the film on, you're like, yeah, that's a Spags guy. That's a Spags guy in the D line because like he wants guys that can move inside outside. He wants guys that are more power rusher than speed rusher, and they're going to be able to just push the pocket back. And that's exactly what he does. And in today's NFL with all these running quarterbacks, you don't want to do a whole lot of trying to get around guys and create open lanes for the quarterbacks to run. You want to push everyone back so the quarterback has to basically just stand there and throw or take a sack. So having a guy like Gelati out there that can do that, I think it's a really good value at 66. And he's from a personality standpoint, he's a big fit because he's a high motor guy and he works really hard. And I think just from that perspective, you're getting at least a Mike Dana type for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you can tell he's a smart football player too. And Spags likes smart football players. He likes guys who knows the game. So he seems like he's a real smart dude, knows the game. So the next pick in the third round, we got cornerback Noah Williams. This might be one of my favorite picks of the draft. I remember this dude when he played out here at UNLV. And then when he transferred to Cal and he was doing his thing, and last year he balled out. He had 7 interceptions last year. Dude is a ball hawk, which we need in that secondary. We need some ball hawks. We need to get the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, get that offense extra possessions. So I love this pick. How did you feel when they picked Noah Williams?
So my co-host Bink, that was his favorite pick from the weekend. I'll tell you this. We talked to his coach Justin Wilcox that Sunday after the draft. The thing that he brought up was how professional he is. About how his dad played D1, his uncle played D1, his brother played I think Mountain West. So you're talking about like this guy, his family has been deep in the game, and everything we heard about him is like he's not this really loud, rambunctious type dude. He comes in, he's got a huge work ethic. He takes care of his body, which a lot of them guys in college, they don't take care of their body the way they should. A lot of these guys, they come in, they practice, they go home. But he's cold tub guy, constantly stretching, got a good diet and all that. Like this is a guy that's already kind of treating himself like a pro. And so like that already, he comes in, he transitions immediately into the locker room. You watch his game on film, very physical corner. This is a guy who has the ability to play on the outside, has the ability to press on the outside, and you really kind of think about adding in the ball hawking abilities as well. And it's like, that's a bonus. Like the Chiefs don't need a ball hawking corner for their system to work. But when you can add that into your system, it's pretty damn nice.
Yeah.
Because now you got a guy that can get you some turnovers. And you got a guy that can force Trent McDuffie to the inside. You can just play him as a slot, occasionally on the outside, but mainly as a slot. And now you're even more dangerous because Trent's great from the slot. Because now we can blitz. Now you can come up and play the run a lot easier. And on top of that, you can use him in so many different ways in zone schemes and in man schemes. Because he's excellent playing zone from the slot, excellent playing man from the slot. And when you can have him in that role, I mean, when teams try to mix their receivers up and move their best receiver inside to the slot to get a better matchup, well, now your better matchup is Trent McDuffie. So I think this is a great move. This was a guy that I was looking at him after Savon Revel Jr. got taken at 75 by the Cowboys. I was real mad about that because that's who I was kind of hoping was going to slide to the Chiefs at 95. Right. I was like, again, I don't celebrate slides like that, but I was sitting there with Savon Revel. I was like, man, that's my guy right there. But after, he's real big, real long. That's a great pick by the Cowboys. And I was just sitting there. I was like, man, like, this is looking really good. But after he was gone, I was like, Noel's got to be the guy. And when they traded up, I think they traded up because they knew like that's the last dude that they could get that was a fit for them at corner. And he's a dog too. So I love that pick. And I think it's one of those picks that like he's a guy that in training camp, probably he could be an instant starter, like day one guy, instant impact guy. Just because of the work ethic, just because of the skill set that he has, the fact that he can be an outside guy, which is what they've really needed. And it gives you a lot of confidence for the future because, as we talked about in the last one, is like you probably needed to get one corner at least in this draft because you do have to think about Josh Williams, Jalen Watson leaving after the season, Christian Fulton on a 2-year deal, but if he's not good, 1-year deal. So like you got to think about that. And it made a lot of sense for them to go get that. And I think you got great value in Noah Williams.
And at the end of the day, it shows up a problem that we had last year with the injuries. Well, now, even if he doesn't start, we do got this kid here we know he has talent. And if Jalen Watson, if Joshua Williams, or one of those guys get hurt, we ain't got to worry about it because we got Noah Williams and still Trent and still Fulton. So adding more depth into that second in that cornerback room is always a plus. And I'm excited for this dude, man. I really am, man. especially if he could take the ball away, like I said, because I think we need it.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be nice if they could get some more turnovers there. And it's funny because like if Jalen's up, because Jalen's on a contract year. If he's up for if he's on his game, Christian Fulton's on his game, Noah Williams on his game, and Trent McDuffie on his game, and the pass rush is great again. Oh man, you talking about potentially number one defense in the league.
Yeah, for real.
And if they got that and they got this receiving core, which we're gonna talk more about that a little bit, you add to this receiving core, woo,
yeah,
man, they might be right this year.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get into a day 3 picks. Let's talk about it. Wide receiver Jalen Royals out of Utah State. I heard going into the draft, I heard a lot of good things about this guy. Dude is a dog. He's similar to a Rashee Rice. I think he has a little bit more speed to his game. But you just get the ball in this dude's hand and he makes stuff happen. He's a good route runner, big guy, real big physical guy. You know what I'm saying? They can, get open. What was your thoughts when they picked Jalen Royals?
Well, the first thing was great value. Like you got excellent. Jalen Royals was a guy that probably should have gone late second, early third at the latest. Like that's a guy that was considered by many to be someone that doesn't make it out of the first 70, 75 picks. So for him to go all the way at 133, I was like when I saw him still sitting on the board, I was like him or Eligiah Manor. That's one of them two guys needs to be a Chief. And when they took Jalen, I understood. Even though Eligiah Manor was my guy, like I understood Jalen Royals. So a lot of people are comparing him to Rashee Rice, and I don't think that's the best comparison. I think the best comparison is Sammy Watkins. Because when you look at what his skill set is, his biggest thing is he's got size and he's got speed. He's real fast. Like a lot of people look at it, the 40 time is like it's 4.42. Well, here's the thing. 4.42, that would not be that impressive if he were a smaller receiver. Like let's say he was like 5'10", 180 pounds. If you 4.42, that's not that impressive. Like that's it's fast, but it's not like crazy fast.
Right.
If you're 6 foot 205, that's real fast, especially because this is the kicker. And this is the reason why I say Sammy Watkins is the comp. His 10-yard split, which is an acceleration statistic. How quick do you get up to top speed?
Right.
His 10-yard split is 1.49. That's the same 10-yard split as Xavier Worthy when he ran his record-setting 4.21 His 10-yard split was 1.49, which means that he has just as much acceleration, just as much quickness to get up to speed as the Chiefs' fastest receiver on the team, the fastest receiver in the NFL. Like that is a crazy type of acceleration right there on somebody who is 6 foot 205. And Sammy Watkins was 6'1", 211. So like size-wise, they're very, very similar, almost the exact same size. And Sammy Watkins was a 1.55 10-yard split. So he's got even better acceleration than Sammy does.
Sammy, right.
So it's like you're talking about a guy who can get up to speed, who's got the size to be able to take hits, the size to be able to get off of tackles, and he's got the ability to go all three levels. With that type of acceleration, you're going to be able to beat people down the field. Now, are you going to be able to like dust people the way that like Tyreek and Worthy can? Maybe depends on how fast the corner is. If it's a faster corner, then probably not. But you can still catch it over him because he's 6 feet tall and I think he's got like a 38.5-inch vertical. So he's going to be able to get up over pretty much any corner out there. So you got that sort of athleticism. You watch his highlights at Utah State, he makes all types of catches. He can catch it over the middle and go. He can catch a short break, a tackle. He can beat a guy down the field, go deep on him. Like everything that you're looking for from a receiver in this offense, he can do that. So immediately you're getting a guy that can beat guys deep, who can go short. You can throw screen passes to him. He can go after the catch. You can You can have him run routes over the middle of the field in that intermediate area. He can catch and run. Like I said, I think what you're getting at what we're hoping for is a Sammy Watkins type, an 800 to 1,000 yard receiver that you complement the other two guys that you got on your roster with. And now all of a sudden, teams got so many different things they got to look out for. Because you got Rashi in the short game doing what Travis Kelce was doing in his prime. You got Xavier Worthy, who, I mean, if you make one mistake and he gets past you, gone. And then you'll have Jalen Royals there, and he can beat you at all three levels. To me, this was the best value pick in the draft by any team.
Yeah.
And I think that you're looking at a situation where like the Chiefs could be potentially drafting a number one potential receiver with this. And to get that in the fourth round, like that's crazy value with what you got.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited for this kid, man. I think he definitely has potential to be, top, in this rotation as far as this wide receiver room. And you add that, with Worthy, Rice, and Hollywood, like now this wide receiver room looks, a lot different, even though it looked good before the injuries last year. But this is probably the best receiving core Pat has had since, Tyreek and Sammy.
And here's the thing is like the potential they got, it could surpass that.
Yeah,
like if Xavier Worthy keeps ascending this year, if Rashee Rice continues doing what he did before his knee got blown out, and if Jalen Royals can do what we think he could do as far as what we've seen from him athletically, like man, like you're talking, yeah, you could very well be talking about him being the best group of receivers that Mahomes has played with, period.
Yeah, for sure. So the next pick was linebacker Jeffrey Bossa out of Oregon. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I paid attention to the linebackers at Oregon, but reading his story,
I didn't. I'll tell you this. I didn't. I was like, I'll tell you this. Like, during the broadcast, when they took him live, I was like, I don't know who the hell this dude is. I was definitely using the beast from the Athletic and the KCSN draft guide. I was using them to look this dude up during the break because I didn't know who the hell this dude was.
So,
I ain't gonna lie.
But if you hear his story, he was a former DB, played safety, and then they switched him over to linebacker, and he hasn't looked back since. He can play outside linebacker, he can play inside. I know he played middle linebacker, so he called the plays for Oregon. I think he's a typical Spags linebacker, smart guy who can play either spot of the linebacker position if he needs to wear the green dot. But the one thing he does bring with him is coverage skills. He can cover because he's a former DB, so he has those cover skills. He can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs coming out of the backfield. He can even possibly cover, a few wide receivers here and there. Initially after, seeing him and, learning about him, what are your thoughts on them drafting Jeffrey Bossa?
So when they made this pick, we were sitting there clamoring for a running back.
Yeah.
We was like, Devin Neal's still on the board. Ollie Gordon's still on the board. Hell, even Donovan Edwards is still on the board. Take somebody. And when Jeffrey Bossa's name got called, I'm like, I didn't even front on the air, like no cap or nothing. I was like, I don't know who the hell this dude is. I was like, I ain't never heard of this guy. But then you look up the accolades and very impressed by what you see when you start doing your research on him. Here's the thing about Bossa. Bossa is, as you brought up, a converted safety who moved to linebacker. He was a very good safety when he was at Oregon. He was first team All Pac-12 when he was at Oregon. This is a guy that probably would have, I don't know if he would have been like a top prospect, the top draft pick at safety, but he definitely probably would have been a steal for what he was.
Mm-hmm.
Then he moves to linebacker, moves to a tougher conference. Honorable mention for the all Big Ten team at middle linebacker, and that's in 1 year playing linebacker. And it's tough moving from safety to linebacker. You had different responsibilities. You're playing the run game more, especially at the collegiate level. Collegiate
Mhm.
level, like run game is a real big part of the game. And yet this, and not only that, but as you brought up, being the green dot, being the Mike linebacker, you're the
Mhm.
quarterback of the defense. You're now making the calls and you're now leading the defense. That's tough.
Yes.
That's like literally that's like moving from wide receiver to quarterback and
Mhm.
making that transition and still getting accolades in your first year there. It's tough. So for him to do that was really impressed. And it shows you the kind of leadership skills he has, and it shows you
Mhm.
the kind of athleticism that he has. Because a lot of these guys that play safety, they don't have the athletic skills to be able to play the run game the way that these linebackers do. Because
Mhm.
there's a lot of strength that's involved with that, a lot of lateral quickness that's involved with that, and you have to be very intellectual as a linebacker because you got to be able to know how to take that right path and recognize those run fits that your defense is using in order to be able to get to the running back. So
Mhm.
um here's what I'll say though. I think the biggest reason why they made this pick is because I think they really miss what Willie Gay brought as a pass coverage linebacker. And I mean, we obviously know about Nick Bolton. I mean, sometimes Nick Bolton, he'd be great in pass coverage. Sometimes you see what happened against the Ravens with Isaiah Likely, where he caught it
Mhm.
over him and he just juked everybody and scored a touchdown. Like it's kind of a mixed bag with him. And even last year with Drew Tranquil, there was times where like
Yeah.
he was out here getting worked by tight ends. So I think the idea is they want to kind of give him a year to learn from Tranquil and Bolton. And I think this will be Tranquil's last year with the team, anyways.
I agree.
And then the hope, I think, is that he can step in 26 and be like a true coverage linebacker for them and
Mhm.
be a guy they could put on a tight end. Because, like, here's the thing about it is because he played safety, he could theoretically also play slot corner too. Because a
Mhm.
lot of these teams at the collegiate level, they'll play like three safeties out there, and then they'll like depending on which side's the strong side safety will play slot. Like one of the strong side safeties will play a slot corner so that you can have guys that can come up and play the run, but also play coverage against a tight end or a slot receiver. So I think that versatility is kind of the reason why they want him out there because he can play pass coverage. And nowadays all these teams are trying to dare the Chiefs to play as many linebackers as they can out there because they don't want the Chiefs running their dime coverage with four corners out there, and because it's hard to beat the Chiefs when they can put four corners out there.
Yeah.
So if you could force them to keep two linebackers, then that can help your chances of being able to move the ball. But if one of those linebackers is a former safety and can play coverage, well, then now it's going to be tough because when you could still stop the run running a nickel, and then you could still defend the pass out of the nickel because one of the guys that's playing linebacker is also a safety. Then that kind of makes things a little bit tougher for these teams. So I think this was like, especially for teams like Buffalo, because like Buffalo really loves to try to keep the Chiefs and as many linebackers on the field as they can.
Mhm.
It's really kind of a play for that.
Could you see a not like early, of course, but eventually, could you see a spot where if they do play, because the Chiefs do like to go into in teams nowadays, they get you to play nickel and dime nowadays so much, so because they try to spread you out. Could you see a point where maybe they take Nick off the field in obvious passing downs and put him out there as the green dot?
If he plays well enough, yeah. Like I don't if he plays well enough in an obvious passing situation and the Chiefs don't blitz, yeah. But if the Chiefs are going to blitz, they're going to keep Nick Bolton out there because he's great at feigning the blitz.
Mhm.
He's excellent at blitzing too. So it's like he's going to be more useful in that role. But yeah, if it's like a third and forever, I wouldn't be shocked if they decided to take him out and put Bossa in there. And also, I'd be really interested to see what he could do as a spy too. And
Yeah.
that's really, I think, where they're going to try to see what he can do as well during the season, like especially in training camp and preseason. What does he do as a spy? And if he can really kill it as a spy, that's going to be really nice for them because that's going to make things. It's going to make them a little bit less predictable on defense because like when they leave Chanel out there as a spy, you know he's going to spy. Like you know he's not dropping in pass coverage because he's not good in pass coverage. But if Bassa can spy and play pass coverage and be a decent run defender, I mean, now you're talking about like a lot of versatility in your linebacking core, and we all know that like Spags really loves versatility out of his players.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm intrigued by this guy. You know what I'm saying? I see it. I see the vision with him, but you know, I'm still, you know,
I gotta see it on the field though. But yeah, I 100% get the vision. I still would have taken a running back there, but you know, it is what it is.
Speaking of which, now I will make it. I will admit something that when in one of my group chats, I told my friends that watch, we're gonna pick another running back in the 7th round.
Oh yeah, no, we all knew it at that point. Yeah, we knew it was gonna be a 7th round running back when it wasn't the 5th round running back.
And when I saw Damian Martinez come off the board, I was like, "All right, Beach, what you gonna do, man?" And when he finally made that trade up, I said, "This got to be running back." And they end up picking running back Rashad Smith, speedy running back, former wide receiver at Miami. He transfers over to SMU and plays running back 1 year, and actually he kills it. He had over 1,300 yards, like I think 300 yards in the receiving game, a touchdown machine. When he gets to the second level, you ain't catching this kid. And he's a obvious Andy Reid pick. Like that, this is a guy that he's gonna if he can, get it and be good on third downs and pick up his pass blocking, pass protection. I mean, this kid is going to be on the field. So, what were your thoughts on Rashad Smith being the pick of 7th round?
I mean, clearly they thought that they were going to be able to get him in round 7, so that's why they waited. When they traded up, like literally, we got off the air right before they traded up and took him. So me and Big were sitting there. We were gonna wait this out for the long haul because we were like, oh, they're gonna make those final 2 picks, and then I'll go home. And then when they traded up, I was like, well, there's your running back. And it's probably at that point I thought it was going to be Brashard Smith because I was like, he's the last one on the board really that makes any sense. That's kind of a fit for what they're looking for. It was funny because like, you brought up, he's former wide receiver who's in Miami, and it's like, Andy Reid would be the guy that would be like, what if I took a wide receiver and used him as a running back? And it was like he's literally he's very like at the very minimum you're thinking of a Jet McKinnon type, but he probably needs to add a little weight. I'd like to see him add like probably 10 more pounds. He's like 194, say 5'9", 194. I'd like to see him add a little bit more weight. But if he can add a little bit more weight, let's say add 10 more pounds. One of the comps I heard from him was James Cook, the running back from Buffalo.
Right.
And I think if he adds some weight, he could probably be more effective on running on the inside. I'm not going to sleep on them giving Brashard Smith a chance to be their starting running back in 26. Like, I'm not going to sleep on it. I'm not going to guarantee that's going to happen because, it could go either way. We really got to see what he could do. But I mean, another comp that I heard a lot of people say is like Dexter McCluster, who was a wide receiver converted to running back, and or was an early Andy Reid day, late Pioli, early Andy Reid days type of guy. D'Anthony Thomas is another comp for this. Look, Andy loves these kind of guys, these little gadget guys that he can move around. I'm going to tell you this right now. There's going to be packages where he gets used both as a running back and as a wide receiver. He's going to line up. There's going to be times where he's lined up in the backfield as a running back, and they motion him out to the slot, and they run 5, and they run empty. There's going to be so many different things they're going to use him for that it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. I think the sky's the limit. I mean, he's a very talented guy. He was a decent little wide receiver at Miami. If he can develop his abilities as a running back, because he's only played running back for 1 year, and also show why he was a good wide receiver when he was at Miami. I mean, you're talking about a kid that could eventually be a starter that gets significant touches in the Chiefs offense. But, you know, I would have liked a bigger running back, but I also understand that like Andy's system is all about what you do after the catch, and the size doesn't really matter as much. And if it ends up working out, they get a James Cook type out of him, then I'm not gonna really complain about it.
Yeah. I just like the fact that they got somebody with some juice. I mean, that's all I was asking for. Get a running back who can run past people. If they get to that second level, you're not catching them. So, I was pleased with the pick. I get it. I was with y'all in the 5th round. I would have loved them to pick a Devin Neal or one of these other running backs, but they, the Chiefs just don't value running back like we do.
Yeah,
That's what I was like.
clearly.
They just don't value running back like that. And when Veach was talking about how deep it was we should have known then. Like, yeah, they're gonna wait till the last minute.
Oh, I definitely was thinking that because I already know like Veach is the ultimate we can find value type of general manager. He really is, and I guarantee you, when his scouts started watching film on Brashard Smith, and they took that film and they brought it over to Andy, I guarantee you, Andy was like, "Oh, I can do some things with this kid."
Yeah. So, and he had a really good year. He played pretty good in the playoffs too. So, excited to see what this kid can do.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be another guy that like you hear a lot of talk about him in camp, because there's probably going to be some times where he kind of breaks off a few plays. The preseason's going to be the time for him because he's probably going to get a lot of playing time in the preseason. And man, I'm really excited to see what this kid does, because if he can show some of that juice in the early part of the preseason, he's going to get the same kind of hype that Pacheco was getting back in 22 when he was starting to show a little bit of that juice in camp. And next thing you know, he's getting reps with the ones. And by the time we get to the end of preseason, we're talking about when Isaiah Pacheco is going to be the starter, but not if. So I think that's definitely something that we could see coming from him.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Now we all know that Brett Veach is some of his bread and butter is the UDFAs, the undrafted free agents. He always brings in some guys that they probably should have been drafted, and he gets good value with those guys, and they end up staying on the team for a minute. Nico Remilio, Justin Ross, guys like that have been on the team. No, they haven't played significant snaps, but you see the talent in them. Now a couple guys that they brought in: Elijah Badger, wide receiver out of Florida. Tight end Jake Brinspool out of Clemson, Magdalena, wide receiver out of Fresno State, Brandon George, linebacker out of Pittsburgh. If you look at his RAS score, wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, his RAS is real nice.
And then offensive tackle Esau Poole out of Washington State. What were some of the guys that you looking at that you like that they picked up?
I think my favorite one was Elijah Badger. I'm a Florida guy, but also I talked about him as a potential 7th round pick for the Chiefs back in like October, November, something like that, on the Character Concerns podcast, because watching him enough, it was like you were really starting to see something click with him as far as him being, because he's one of those guys who's a catch and run type guy. So he's one of those guys that like run a shorter route, catch, go. He's going to get you some yards after the catch. He's not like crazy fast. He's probably about a 4.4 guy. But he's one of those guys that he's a very sure-handed guy, and he's going to be one of those guys that'll get you a little bit of extra yards after. Andy Reid values that in his running backs his receivers more than anything else, is what you do with the ball in your hands. And Badgers, he's very reliable. He was one of the best receivers. He's the best receiver for Florida this year, and one of the biggest reasons why like they kind of turned things around in the middle of the year when Lagway took over as the starter. So
right.
I liked him as a late round pick, and for him to go undrafted, I mean, it gives you the opportunity to choose your team, and he ends up in a really great place. I hope he makes the most of it for sure, because if he can be a contributor for this team, I mean, at the very minimum, you're talking about Demarcus Robinson, Justin Watson type was what he could be in the league.
Mhm, mhm,
And I think that's great to get that as a UDFA. So
mhm,
Jake Brennan-Stool, the tight end out of Clemson, is another interesting one as well. Brennan-Stool is very athletic. He's very good after the catch. A lot of people did kind of compare him to Kelsey after they signed him. Definitely some question marks about like the actual like skill set, route running, blocking, things like that. But the athleticism can't be denied. He's got good size to him too. He's about 6'6", 250 or so.
mhm,
Uh, but yeah, like the thing with Brenningstool is just the actual like skills. Like, can he learn to be an NFL level route runner, NFL level blocker, things like that. But the athleticism is definitely not something you can deny.
mhm.
Brenningstool was a guy I was seeing a lot of people think could be a good late round value for the Chiefs. Brenningstool was a guy that I don't think people thought would go undrafted. I think
Yeah,
a lot of people thought like fifth, sixth round for him.
right. Mhm,
So for him to fall out of the draft, like it might be a pretty big gift for the Chiefs there. But um, I expect him to kind of be a camp darling because a lot of people are really kind of, because I think we all assume it's going to be Kelsey's last year. They're going to be looking for that successor, and if Brenningstool shows anything in the preseason, people are going to love him
mhm,
because that's what people are looking for there. And then Essa Pohl, the right tackle that they got from Washington State. This guy has the measurables the Chiefs are looking for at a tackle. He is very raw, and he is not really that great right now. He's got a lot to learn. A
mhm,
lot to learn. That's the reason why he went undrafted. If you're an undrafted tackle, you got some work to do.
mhm,
So this is gonna be a guy that like I wouldn't be shocked if he had an injury in camp that they were able to kind of stash him for a year and develop him. But this is a guy I think they definitely were very interested in trying to go grab. And like, if he can learn how to play the position and learn how to harness those tools that he has, he could be a steal for sure. But like
mhm,
when you're getting guys like that are UDFAs, most of these guys are guys that like something's off with them, something's wrong with them. There's some sort of like issue with them, especially like tackle. Some sort of issue, like they have the measurables, they have what you like physically, but like skill wise is not there, or it's just not clicking upstairs or something like that. And the Chiefs believe in their coaching, so I think in their case, they're like, hey, we think we can do something with this. It's kind of like the Ethan Driscoll kid they took last year.
mhm, mhm.
It's like, okay, great athlete, gonna need some work to learn and use those tools. So hopefully a guy like Esapol can learn to utilize those tools so that the Chiefs don't have to use a high pick on a tackle next year to replace Juwan Taylor.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much it for as far as the draft picks go. Let's talk about the AFC because that more so affects what how the Chiefs play this year, and they affect more the Chiefs as far as going to the playoffs. What were your thoughts on other AFC teams drafts? What AFC teams were you high on, or what AFC teams were you low on?
So I like what the Ravens did. I mean, dude, Malachi Starks is for real.
Mm-hmm.
That kid can play.
Yeah.
You got him and you got Kyle Hamilton now. Man, that might end up being the best tandem of safeties in the league.
Yeah.
So like you have to worry about that now. They also got Mike Green. I really like Mike Green a lot. I know he has some issues with like some sexual assault allegations from his past. So I do hope that there's some clarification on that, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if this dude is a creep for real, I don't know if he should be playing football, especially because they just got rid of a dude who was accused of being a creep. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't want Baltimore to be a city of creeps there. You know what I'm saying? So like, I definitely think that like that's going to be something that you're going to hear about, especially early in his career. So, but like just from an on the field standpoint, like Baltimore does a good job of drafting generally, and I think they did a really good job here, adding some good players to their team. I also really, I also think like the Patriots did a really good job too. Patriots got a lot of good value where they did. Now Will Campbell, I'm not the biggest fan of.
Oh, you don't like Will Campbell?
I think he's gonna be a guard. I don't think he's a tackle. I think he's gonna be a guard, and I'm not taking no damn guard top 5. That's not I'm not taking a guard top 5. I think so. I think they could have got better value there. But you know, they were able to get guys like Kyle Williams, the receiver out of Washington State, a guy I really liked for the Chiefs. They got Braden Swinson in the 5th round. I'm gonna tell y'all, watch out for Braden Swinson, edge rusher out of LSU.
Yeah.
That kid's gonna be good. He's gonna be real good in Mike Vrabel's system. Because Swinson can get after it, man. He's a good power rusher. He's stronger than he looks. He's going to push guys on their ass. And then they went out and got Travian Henderson in the 2nd round because the Browns, they messed up and they took Quinshawn Judkins above him. I like Judkins, but he not Travion Henderson. He don't have that burst like that. No. So they really hit on the Patriots really hit on the draft. As far as like the Bengals, I thought they had the worst draft. Like I was not impressed. Like I think they hit the right positions for the most part, except they took 2 linebackers on day 2. I don't like that. But I really think that like Shamar Stewart is a big gamble because he wasn't very productive at A&M. He had 1.5 sacks his final 3 years in college each year. So 4.5 sacks his final 3 years in college. Like that's not that productive. So it's like you're drafting a lot of potential, very little production. That's one of those like smartest guy in the room type picks.
Yeah.
And it's like Derek Harmon is still there. Mike Green is still there. I mean, you got all these guys that are still sitting there. And you're like, no, let's take the guy with the measurables who wasn't productive at all. And that might just be a Texas A&M thing because like, what's his name? Oh God, Nick Scorton, who got taken by the Panthers. Like Nick Scorton, he's a guy that was way better his second to last year in college when he was at Purdue versus what he did at A&M. He was better at Purdue. So, you know, yeah, that might be a situation where like Shamar just wasn't used quite as well because they had him kind of bulk up and he was playing real heavy. But Shamar's a guy that I think, you know, has potential but doesn't have a whole lot of production. And, you know, then you know, I like Demetrius Knight, but, you know, I'm not taking a linebacker like that when you definitely need some corner help. You need you need some safety help there. I mean, that defense ain't been the same since Jesse Bates went to A-Town. And you're looking at what they're doing. It's like they made some decent picks, you know. But I just don't think that they made the right picks with the right players. And then Buffalo, I wasn't a fan of Buffalo's draft. Because I think Buffalo just took players that people were picking to go to the Chiefs, you know? It's like, it just felt like, and I said this before the draft, I was like, I think Buffalo's going to make a lot of picks where they would think that these would be the guys that the Chiefs would take. And, you know, that's kind of what it felt like. It just felt like everything they did was just, this is a guy the Chiefs might like. Let's take Maxwell Hairston in the 1st round because this might be a guy the Chiefs might like at 31, you know. Let's take what's his name? Landon Jackson, edge rusher out of Arkansas. Because this might be a guy the Chiefs might be interested in. It's like everything they did was just, we're going to take players that we think that kind of seem like they would be fits for the Chiefs, but like I don't think the Chiefs are going to take them. That's it. I don't really think they got a whole lot of like impact players for real.
How did you feel about the Shedeur Sanders situation?
Man, I said this all weekend. The situation with Shedeur, I think, is that you got these teams that have been relying on the draft to fix their terrible mistakes that they've made. in, as far as like roster construction or whatnot. They live off of the draft. Like if you are Cleveland, you need the draft to you need these high picks, because if you had to pick later in the draft, you wouldn't be doing too hot. And the draft only works for teams like that. The draft only works for the NFL's model if players don't get to choose where they go. Reportedly, Shador was sandbagging interviews and whatnot, and because of that, some team owners told their GMs take him off the board completely, because like he was on the Giants board at the end of the season,
Right.
and he didn't work out. All he did was interviews, and then all of a sudden he drops off the board. Well, it clearly wasn't anything that was on the field. It was what y'all saw in the interviews. And to me, it tells me he was probably sandbagging interviews with teams like the Giants, because his dad was probably like, hey, you don't want to go up there. They coach about to get fired. Like, you're going to have a second coach a year from now. You have a second GM a year from now. You don't want to deal with that. So I get the feeling that that's what was happening there. And these teams don't want players choosing where they go by sandbagging interviews with teams they don't want to go to. They just don't want that power structure being threatened like that. So if they could prove a point by sending a message to all these kids in the draft that, hey, you're going to go where we tell you to go, and that's that. Otherwise, you're going to end up like Shador. I think that's the type of message that they was trying to send, because the NFL needs that power structure to work in order for worst to first to happen. Because a lot of these teams just aren't that good at roster construction. They know how to construct good rosters. They're just too scared to do it, because if they have to do it the way that like a team like the Chiefs does it, then you got to make some tough decisions. And not all these teams can go out there and deal with getting the kind of time you need to find a quarterback like that. So yeah, I mean, I get what happened there with Shador. I don't think it was right. I think it made the NFL look really bad. And especially if Shador turns out to be a good quarterback, and he's better than most of the quarterbacks that got taken before him, which I think he will be.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a lot of question marks being asked by Browns fans if Dylan Gabriel gets cut after training camp, or he don't ever play a snap. They're like, how the hell you draft Dylan Gabriel before Shador, and then Dylan Gabriel don't even play on the team? Like, there's going to be questions because I think this will happen. The Saints with Tyler Shuck. I think Tyler Shuck is going to be terrible. Like, that dude had one good year out of 7 years in college. Like, he was playing in college when Mahomes was just starting for the Chiefs in the NFL. It was his first year in college.
He was the backup for Justin Herbert.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, this was a guy that he was watching Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's on his second contract now. And he played with that man. And that's the guy that got taken in the second round, 3 rounds before Shador did. Like, you can't tell me that there wasn't something behind that. And if he does not play well, if Tyler Shook goes out there and does what he did most of his years and get hurt, I guarantee you Saints fans gonna be like, did you really need to send a message to Shador, or could you just drafted the best quarterback that was there? Because I guarantee you, them Saints fans, they get mad having Derek Carr sit back there and Jameis Winston sit back there, and they not doing a lot of winning. Like, I guarantee you, they wish they would have had a chance to go and get a guy like Shador. So, like I said, I think if he plays well enough, he's going to make a lot of teams regret the way that they handled the draft, trying to humble him.
Yeah, if and especially if the Giants miss on Jackson Dart, like Giants.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna say the Giants fans gonna be real mad if Jackson Dart turns out to be a bum, which I think he will. Man, that's gonna be. They gonna have some tough conversations up there in New York about the ownership and about the leadership up there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't get what Cleveland was trying to do. Like, you take Dylan Gabriel, and it's like you wasted that pick. Like, if you wanted to send a message, heck, you could have just picked another player. You could just pick another wide receiver or something, and then pick him in the 5th round. At least Cleveland would have been like, "Oh, we got good value. We got Shador in the 5th round, and we got a wide receiver to add to that." Like, Cool. Like, but now you got this whole fiasco in the offseason. Now you got to answer questions about picking Shador on the 5th and Dylan Gabriel on the 3rd. You got to deal with that the whole offseason. Who do you think is going to start? Who do you think is going to start? Who do you think has the potential to start? Is Dylan Gabriel going to have more snaps than Shador? Like, plus add on to the Deshaun Watson dark cloud you got over your team. Plus you got Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett up in there. Like, I don't know. I don't know what Cleveland's doing.
And like, think about this. Let's say that like Jalen Royals taking at 433 for the Chiefs. Let's say that he turns out to be real good.
Yeah.
Because he's a guy that fell. This is a guy that was supposed to go late second, early third. He falls all the way to late round 4. If someone like him turns out to be real good, or Elikiah Manor, receiver out of Stanford that fell like a couple picks after Jalen Royals to the Titans. Like if he turns out to be good, everybody's going to be like, why the hell didn't they take another receiver? Because all they got is Jerry Jeudy up there. Like, people are going to be asking so many questions about people they could have took, but they didn't because they thought they was the smartest guy in the room by taking Dylan Gabriel. Like, I'm 3rd round quarterback. Like, it's not worth the value taking 3rd round quarterback like that, because especially this year, because it wasn't a good quarterback class.
No.
So it just, pick didn't make any sense to me. And especially when they took Shador 2 rounds later, it told me that like these guys don't know what they're doing. They're just going out here and throwing darts. And hey, we'll take 2 quarterbacks and let's just hope one of them's good. Like, I'm gonna tell you this right now: if Shador turns out to be really good, if Shador ends up starting at any point this year, those fans, while they're going to be happy that, hey, we might have our quarterback in the future, they're also going to be asking a lot of tough questions about that Dylan Gabriel pick, because that pick didn't make no sense. Like, that was when I knew right there that this was definitely some sort of collusion of some sort, because Dylan Gabriel was not anyone that we was hearing about as a late 3rd round pick.
They said his team was like,
yeah,
surprised.
I guarantee you, Dan Lanning, his head coach at Oregon, was like, what? Like, who took him? Oh, wow. I guarantee you there was a lot of shock that were running through Eugene, Oregon when they saw his name come across the board. I guarantee you that Dylan Gabriel did not think his name was going to get called on day 2. Like, I guarantee you, not a single person in his family thought he was getting. His mama didn't think he was getting drafted on day 2. His daddy didn't think he was getting drafted on day 2. Like, I don't know if he got a girl or not. She probably didn't think he was going on day 2. None of them people thought that.
Yeah. And look, you heard the Jackson Dart hype train, so we kind of figured that was gonna happen. Okay, whatever. Tyler Sco was even starting to get a little hype to him too, so whatever. Jalen Milroe was getting hyped too, but that's another one in Seattle. You're gonna have to be like,
yeah. I mean, I get Jalen Milroe where he got. As a matter of fact, he probably went a little too low. Like, I was actually surprised he didn't. I was surprised when the Saints took Shuck instead of Milroe. I was surprised because I was like, Jalen Milroe is right there. Like, he is Anthony Richardson without the hype. Like, you might have something there if you can get him some time to develop. Like, I thought that might be a good dice roll there for him, or even the Steelers. I thought that would have been a good dice roll for the Steelers too.
Yeah, I was surprised that the Steelers didn't.
Yeah,
even in the 5th round, I was just like, I can't take Shador right here. Like,
yeah, no, the Steelers should have definitely taken Shador somewhere.
You settled for Will Howard? Like, okay.
Will Howard, I'm going to tell you, Will Howard, he's going to be watching a lot of football games in his career because he ain't going to be doing a lot of playing.
He's going to be coaching.
That man might be in the XFL in a year or 2. I don't think he's going to be around for long.
Him and Riley Leonard.
Oh, yeah, Riley Leonard, he's going to be a star in the UFL. He going to be a star next year in the UFL.
He's going to win a couple championships.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be playing for the Renegades or something, or the Panthers. He's going to be lighting it up on Sundays in March.
Oh, yeah. I can see it now. Throwing it to, what's the dude's name? I forgot the wide receiver name. He used to play for Arizona. But, so what's your, I know it's hard to kind of, but we're projecting, but what is your final draft grade for the Chiefs?
I gave them an A minus. I think they did a great job in the way they handled the draft. I mean, trading back one spot and getting a fifth round pick out of it, and then getting your left tackle that you really like that was like, okay, you did a good job getting the guy that you wanted. So, like I said, benefit of the doubt on this situation, I'm cool with it. Omar Norman Lott is a guy that may have been available at 63. That was not one where I was like, he's definitely going to be available. As the second round was going along, I was getting a little bit more optimistic about that pick when he was sitting there. And once we got to 63, I was like, Omar Norman Lott or Caleb Johnson here. Like those are my two guys. And when he got taken there at 63, like I said, I hopped up off the couch when that pick came. So I was really happy about that. Gelati, I see the vision. Again, I probably would have went differently there just because again, running back and whatnot. But he fits what they're looking for. So cool with that. Noah Williams, great fit at corner. If you're not getting Savon Revel Jr. at corner, Noah Williams is a great fit too. Jalen Royals could be the steal for the Chiefs. So I don't again, I think that right there is like that right there kind of started putting him in the A grade. Like Noah Williams and then Jalen Royals in round 4. That's like, okay, this is starting to look like a potential A grade right here. Because you don't get that kind of value like that in the draft very often. Bossa, questionable. But again, benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens. I see the vision, all that stuff. Brashard Smith, definitely their kind of guy at running back. And, a guy who was projected to go probably 4th, 5th round. You got him in round 7. So you found value pretty much all throughout the entire draft. You didn't reach on anybody. It wasn't one of those situations where like you were just taking somebody just to take them. It wasn't any desperation I felt from how they were drafting. So yeah, I give them an A minus. I thought they got great value, and I think there was definitely a lot of conviction in how they handled it. And so you got guys that you can immediately plug and play. Norman Lott and Noah Williams. Those are guys that I think immediately will play and be big time contributors. I think Jalen Royals has a chance to be, 300 to 400 receiving yard guy this year. Maybe even have like 100 rushing yards too, because I think they'll probably use him in a lot of different packages. Brashard Smith could surprise us this year. Josh Williams probably a redshirt year, but I mean, hey, he did drills at rookie mini camp, and I think they're going to give him every opportunity to compete for a job. So I give it an A minus because I think they hit everything they needed to hit, and I think they found great value, and I think they got guys who can immediately come in and contribute or compete to contribute. So that's where I go.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm like at that B plus A minus level. It all contingents off of Joshua Simmons.
Yes, 100%, 100%. If that knee ain't good, yeah, it's like B minus.
Yeah, for sure. Even if the other players work out, it's just kind of like, you spent your first round pick on a guy who's not playing.
Yeah, a guy who can't play because of his knee. Like I said, that's where like the benefit of the doubt is doing a lot of heavy lifting there with Simmons because that knee, that's a concern.
Yeah, for sure. But praying that it works out. So, all right, Chris, man. Like always, man. Appreciate you coming on the show, man. Definitely got to bring you back before the season, maybe before training camp, man. We'll talk, depth chart and all that good stuff. Who's going to make the roster and all that stuff. How the guys are looking out there. But we're definitely going to bring you back on the show for sure, man. But like I said, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on again. Right now we're taking a little bit of a break on the Character Concerns podcast, trying to get a little bit of rest after having to memorize all these arm lengths and hand size and all that. So, but we'll probably be back a little bit for mandatory mini camp next month, and then after that we're gonna start putting together previews and previewing the college football season for 2025. So we'll have players to watch at positions of need for the Chiefs or future positions of need for them. We'll probably start doing that like late July, early August, and so we'd appreciate if listeners out there would download, subscribe, check out the podcast, and go on that ride with us before the 2026 draft, because a lot of the guys that we were talking about during the college football season were guys that you needed to look out for in the draft this year. So we're going to be doing that research and getting back on it again in the fall.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a way better draft next year. So
yeah, way better draft, especially like quarterback and potentially wide receiver. So yeah, definitely gonna be a lot of interesting guys to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Chris, man. Thank you, man, once again, and have a good one, man.
Yeah, you too, man.
All right, Chiefs Kingdom, man. Appreciate y'all watching today. Like I said, appreciate Chris coming on the show, speaking on the draft. Let us know, man, what was your favorite draft picks and who you guys liked. What draft picks you like, Next week, we'll have my guy Ed Easton Jr. come on from USA Today, Chiefs Wire. He will come on next week to give his opinion on these draft picks. And then hopefully we'll have another special guest. Maybe DJ Diamond Diva will come on and give her opinion on the draft picks that we picked. So got a full slate booked up these next 2 weeks. So continue to support the podcast, man. And we're going to go ahead and land this thing. If you look down at the bottom, you see the link, emqpodcast.com/locker-room. If you click on that link, you'll see the locker room access of all the podcasts under the Every Morning Quarterback umbrella. They got a Bears one, a Patriots one, a 49ers one, and they got ours, Arrowhead Chief Podcast. Go ahead and click on the banner. You'll see all of our episodes from the recent to the past ones. Also, if you're check out their podcast, Every Morning Quarterback. They talk about everything NFL league wide. They talk about college football, and they give you betting tips for the week. So subscribe to their channel. Whatever streaming platform you use, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, whatever platform you use to listen to your podcast, Arrowhead Chief Podcast is available. Also, if you're first time watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification button. So when I go live on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, jump in the live and give your opinion on these Chief topics. If you agree with me, if you disagree, if you agree with our guest that comes on, you could give your opinion. We want to hear all Chiefs fans and how they feel. They may disagree with these draft picks. They might not like none of them. They might like only one of them. They might hate the Joshua Simmons pick. They might love it. So give us your opinion. If you're listening on the playback, go ahead and drop it in the comment sections how you feel about these draft picks. Yeah, man, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And whatever social media platform you use, whether it's X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, Twitch, whatever you use to do your social media on, follow me at AH Chief Podcast. Follow us, we'll follow you back. We're not Hollywood. We're just some regular Chiefs fans just like you that like to talk about the Chiefs and give you our feelings and our thoughts on what the Chiefs are doing in the offseason and during the season. So go ahead and tap in with us. If you have critiques, feedback, if you have a question or topic that's Chiefs related or NFL related, you can send it to us via email, DMs, or our mentions. And if we like said question or topic, we will bring it up on the show. We'll shout you out on the show because we want to show love to those who show love to us. So go ahead and send us that question or topic, and we will bring it up. So, all right, Chiefs Kingdom. Until next Tuesday, man, same time. I'm out.